So I've got the DAX up here. Let me clear off some of these drawing objects here. The first thing you notice I've already got on my chart is volume. At the low here, I've got a volume to show me how much volume is traded during this time period. And this is a 5-minute chart. We can check that by just flicking there. Yeah, 5 minutes. So each candle is showing me 5 minutes. So underneath it, each volume stem is showing me how much volume is traded in that 5-minute period. And the thing is with volume, guys, is that when you're trading an index, you're basically getting a bit of a cumulative volume from the broker. The actual true volume comes from the futures market, as we talked about before. These brokers are mirroring the actual market, but the true volume comes from the futures market. But if we looked at something like, let's have a look at Tesla, for example. Okay, now that volume is going to be true, and it's going to show us how many shares are traded during that 5-minute time period. So, and you can see how, we've got a bit of a spike in volume, and it goes lower during lunchtime, push it back up. And that's how the volume tends to go. We get volume spikes as we go through highs and go through lows, but it's very important to see volume because it understands how many people are participating. If we push through a fresh low and no volume is coming in, that's a little sign that's telling us, hey, you know what? There's not a lot of participants in here. Maybe we need to be a little bit cautious about getting involved in a breakout. Or volume is very, very low, there's not a lot of participants during lunchtime, I'm not going to get involved. Or volume has gone through the roof, it's the biggest volume we've had for the week. Hey, there's a lot of interest here, let's look and see if we can generate a trade opportunity. So always looking at volume is key. Understanding the relationship between volume and price, and that just comes with experience. As you start to look at the charts and look at it trade, how does volume pick up? How does it decline? How does it contract? How does it expand? And then below that, I've got average true range, and I've skipped a bit because we were going to talk about moving averages, but we may as well talk about this as on my chart. Now for me, this is just showing me the range of this bar. What you can do, and what a lot of traders do, and what I will do, is I will adjust it to give me a different time period. So there's no need for that. Let's double click it and then we can adjust it. So at the moment I've got it on a length of 1, but let's say I wanted to see the average of volume over the time period. Now don't forget, okay, I've got a 5-minute chart here. So if I put in an average length of 10, what that's going to do, and it's the same with all indicators, it's going to take 10 periods of the chart time frame I've got. So I've got a 5-minute chart, so it's going to take 50 minutes, and it's going to average the range over 50 minutes for each of those, and it's going to give me a statistic. So you can see how the average is smoothed out, and it picks up a little bit here as we start to it takes a little bit of time obviously to represent in the indicator because it's an average, but as we start to put in a little bit more range in each of our candles, the average true range is going to pick up. So what that does is it starts to give us a picture on the volatility. You can see very large volatility during this Brexit situation here in late June, and then as we were bouncing off and we're just getting the questions answered, are we going to go to lows or not? Good volatility. Similarly, back at the beginning of the year when we started to push lower, there was that good volatility and the ATR was lifting up. But do you know what? The parameter you use is entirely up to you. I like to use 1 for purposes of just seeing what's gone on. I want to see what the range is like, and then I can compare that to the prior days. So I can see, hey, you know what? The last few days we've had pretty much no range after we had that big move to the downside. So I can think maybe we're going to break out of the range. So the average true range is a great way of recognizing volatility at a glance, using it on whatever time frame chart you want. And one thing you can also do, a little tip here, is you can start to put your stops based on the average true range. So you can start to look and say, okay, well, I'm either going to use maybe a five period average true range on my 1 minute. So let's put it to 5. I'm going to say, okay, what's that running at the moment? It's running at what have we got here? 2.4. So it's telling me that we really are not doing an awful lot, guys. The average range 4, 5, 6. So what I can say is I can say, okay, well, let me look at the peak of that, which is about 5 points. So If I'm going to be scalping, then maybe I can use twice that at 10 points and I'm going to be safe. So if I'm wrong, I know that unless we have a really big move, I'm not going to get stopped out. So it's a way of kind of framing the trade.